but that one does. It's a standard U shape. What we have to do is determine the 2 points I've just circled. Those 2 points are where the curve cuts the x-axis. We have to do it by graphical means. So, can anybody suggest any steps that I might take?
From -3 to -1 for your y and x.
Sorry, say it again, Tim.
So you were like the -3, -1, label it as x and y, the following test.
Right. If x is -3, if I put it in here, it will give me -1. Okay. What I'm trying to find then is when it cuts the x-axis, what value of y do you expect? 0. Yeah. So what we're trying to do is to find out some values of y, or sorry, values of x that result in values of y that are 0. We know there's going to be 2 of them, but by graphical means that we're going to have to plot some data, draw the curve, and actually estimate where it cuts the axis. So what we have to do, guys, is we have to produce it by table form. This is where we go suck it and see. So if I have x and y, we know that when x is equal to -3, y is equal to -1. We've already worked that one out. So that's why it's important that we have our turning point. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take easy numbers. So I'm going to take a number on either side of -3. Now, see as I go on either side of x equals -3, what should be happening to the value of y?
Going positive.
It should be, yeah, it should be becoming less negative and actually going into the positive region. So if I take, say, x equals, say, -2 and x equals -4, I'm not going to take -3.35. Why create work for myself? Okay. So this is just an estimate of what's going on. So, actually, there's an easy one to choose. Is that x equals 0? When x equals 0, y is equal to 8. So, when x is equal to 0, we know that y is already above, sorry, the curve is already above the x-axis at that point. So that's telling me the points where I intersect on the x-axis are definitely more negative than x equals 0. So, if I take x equals -2 and x equals -4, when x equals -2, you get -2 squared, which is 4, then 6 times -2 is -12, -12 and 12 is 0. What we do, isn't that wonderful? We actually picked one that gives us a root immediately. Not always that easy. Similarly, now, I can stop at this point. I told you about symmetry. -3 to -2 is a space of 1. So that's coming on this right-hand side of the axis as we look at it. If I just go one step to the left, I should have the equivalent value of y because of the symmetry around the turning point. If I put in x equals -4, -4 squared is 16. 16 and 8 is 24. 6 times -4 is -24. So it gives us 0 as well. So you see now, if you remember these small things like the fact of the symmetry, then what you do on one side matches on the other side. So it reduces the amount of calculation you actually have to do. So what that's telling me, guys, there's no need to go any further because I've actually found my points that actually cuts the x-axis. With -2, there's -3 and -4, -1, something like that. That's what the curve looks like. So, using graph paper, what you would do is plot that. Now we've already done this by calculation, so the graph paper is just literally a redundant sort of an exercise. But let's take a different one, because but not always as straightforward. Okay, so y equals x squared plus 5x minus 3. Let's try and do this. Switch this thing off. Register. Just close it there. Oh, it's still running.